I should share screen now.
And that one is, I think they're good. We're gonna start in 2 minutes.
How do you find that out?
Yeah. After. Yeah. Okay, you want to introduce first? Yep, you go ahead.
All right. So folks, welcome to the behavioral science and science lecture / colloquium series. This is a series of lectures that the behavioral science department organizes every semester. This semester we partnered up with the science department in order to welcome Michael Reynolds to Triton College remotely. For more information, you can find a complete list of our colloquium series on our website, triton.edu, and then search for behavioral science and the science lecture series as well. We will begin the presentation shortly. Just a couple of housekeeping items. Please be sure to rename yourself if you're here and you'd like to receive credit for attending this lecture. And at the time after the lecture, we'll have a few minutes for question and answers. We'll take questions from the audience here in the room first, and then we'll look at the questions in the chat for those of you who are remote. If you'd like to ask a question, please start your message in the chat with QQQ so that we can find it easily at the end of the process. And then we'll do Joe.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today. Our guest speaker is Michael Reynolds, an American architect based in New Mexico. He's known for design and construction of earthship buildings, off-grid houses that use passive solar, water storage and reuse, and indoor food production. His building practices advocate the reuse of waste products, such as automobile tires, glass bottles and aluminum cans, and he is known for designs that push the boundaries of building codes. His thumb house, built in 1972, used beer cans wired together in bricks, which were mortared over and then plastered. And he was featured in a 2007 documentary entitled Garbage Warrior, which examined his life and work of earthship biotexture. His ideas have also appeared in the 2020 film Nomad Lab. And with that, I'd like us all to welcome Michael Reynolds.
Now do I share screen? I share screen?
Yeah, you can share screen.
Okay. And play. Hi. Everybody here okay and everything?
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. This is just a sort of an overview of what we call biotexture. It's achieving sustenance through the encounter of earth phenomena. And you know, sustenance is really what we're trying for on this planet. We've gone overboard in some cases, and in some cases not enough. What are earth phenomena? They are wind, rain, sun, gravity, condensation, thermal mass, lightning, rainbows, all aspects of physics and biology, and much more. This is the earth phenomena that we are trying to encounter to provide for ourselves, as opposed to needing the infrastructure and the line grid and all of that. They seem to be flailing a little bit these days. Now, a way for us to realize what we're up against here is this diagram, which I didn't make, but I found it. But it shows the situation that we're in. We don't have to revolt. We don't have to do anything except walk in another direction. If we did walk in another direction, the dogma that's there would simply fall into the abyss. This is the way I see it, and it's available for us to do this now. This is a treatise of what we're all about. I'll read a couple of them. We're reducing the economic and institutional barriers between humans and their habitat. We're trying to reverse the overall negative effect that conventional human housing has on this planet, and on and on. This is the treatise of our work. Basically, our work, and anytime you talk to anybody connected with us, you're gonna see these 6 things talked about. We're talking about, of course, down here in the lower left, comfortable shelter, that doesn't use fossil fuel. I mean, that's the issue. How do we come up with comfortable shelter that doesn't depend on fossil fuel? Well, we have been working on it for 55 years, and we have it. We need water. All of us need water. All of us need electricity. All of us need food. All of us need to somehow treat our sewage. If we don't treat and contain our sewage, we've got problems. We've got cholera. We've got all kinds of issues. And the same was with garbage, what we call garbage. We invented garbage, by the way. And what we call garbage, if all you got to do is have a garbage strike, a garbage workers strike in New York City, and in 2 days the streets are simply full of garbage. That just gives you a clue as to how serious our garbage problem is. Now, I don't think humans can live on this planet without addressing these 6 points. There are other points of human sustenance that you could say, yes, I need this, I need that, but these are life and death situations. You don't have food, you die. You don't have water, you die. You don't have comfortable shelter, you die. So we're trying to make every building that is built on this planet independently address these 6 issues. Now, our mentor, our guiding light, whatever you want to call it, for this thinking is a tree. A tree drops its leaves and they become compost and become dirt for more trees. A tree has a piping system that sucks up nutrients and H2O, water, from the earth. That's also its foundation structure. A tree gives off oxygen, which creatures like us use, and takes in the CO2 that we breathe out. And there's a symbiotic relationship between animals and a tree right there. And then, of course, a tree absorbs the sun in the terms of photosynthesis that is much like our solar panels. So a tree sits there and encounters the natural phenomena of the planet to give it life to exist, live, and spread, reproduce. What more could you ask for? You get a lot of trees together, you've got a forest. Nobody ever says there are too many trees. You got a beautiful emerald green forest. Now, you got these things. What are these things even doing here? They are, you put a bunch of them together like you do trees, you got this. This is what I see on this planet. I see a bunch of trees and I see this. I see a bunch of humans and I see this. So this is what I'm reacting to. And one of the things that I'm reacting to. So I'm looking at how do we do better in terms of living on this planet, better for ourselves, not just better for the planet, but better for our quality of life. And that's what I'm looking at. I call this inspiration. I see this and it drives me nuts. It makes me want to go harder and faster into what we're doing, because this is what these things do. They do this. Trees don't do this. Animals don't do this. Humans do this. This inspires me to go even harder. And this sewage into rivers, streams, lagoons. I've seen this. We have traveled all over the world with this. I see this particular type of thing everywhere, every city, developed country or not. Is this really what we want to do? And when here, I'll bring you one point right here. When you mix your sewage with that of 50,000 other people, you've got a huge problem. When you take care of your own sewage for your own 3 or 4 person family, it's a very small biological problem that you can actually use to produce food with. It's just biology. We're talking 8th grade biology. Garbage, what we call garbage. This is what happens when we stack up too much of it. Look at this. This is what we do on this planet. I look at this and I lust. I want to have the land right next to this place, and I want to build a city from this. That's what this is. This is building material. Probably the best building material on the planet, if you really want to look at it. And look at under the Caribbean. Same story. We do not merge or encounter this planet. We simply dump on it. Bottles, same story. Plastic bottles, of course, everybody knows about the continent of plastic out in the Pacific, I believe. But we're looking at this. This is an Amazon rainforest in the high desert of New Mexico. Unlike the biosphere in Arizona, there is no power of any kind coming to this building. This building is encountering the sun and the earth and the thermodynamics of physics and making an Amazon rainforest for people to live in. It's called the Phoenix. It's a demonstration building. Here it is inside. Birds flying around, fish swimming, butterflies flying around, food growing, people living here. And outside it's a desert. Montana, this is a smaller version of the same thing, but these are now all over the world. These buildings capture a method of sustenance for people. Here is one of the latest models. We call it the Unity. I personally came to this building every morning about 6 o'clock throughout the winter to check the temperature. 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That's around 21 Celsius. No fossil fuel, no heating system whatsoever. The building is the heating system. And we're talking 20 below zero Fahrenheit. I mean, that's, I forget what that is Celsius, but that's seriously cold winter. And every morning it was 70 degrees Fahrenheit, around 21 Celsius. This is the building. This is the lead building now. This is what I call the Formula One of this concept, the Formula One of the Earthship concept. It's a performance vessel that addresses those 6 points. It makes comfortable shelter without fossil fuel. It harvests water from its roof. There you can see the solar power. It provides food. It contains and treats the sewage of the people that live there, contains and treats it. And it uses garbage. The building is built with 45% to 50% of recycled materials. There's the inside. It looks like a normal home. The fireplace is for fun. It's, we use the fireplace 3 or 4 times a year for Christmas or whatever. You throw a little fire in there, it gets cozy, it gets nice, but it's not like you use it to heat. As a matter of fact, if you used it, it'd run you out of there. There is a temperature thermometer. You're looking in terms of Fahrenheit. Outdoor temperature, 6.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Indoor temperature 71. That's what I saw all winter in this building. Now we're going back into history. How did this start? How did this come about? How did I just all of a sudden get this idea, or what happened? Back in early 1970s, I got the idea to build a house out of beer cans because they were complaining on the news that beer cans and soda cans were being thrown all over the streets and highways. So I built a beer can house. I was ridiculed. I was dumped on. I was called a disgrace to the architectural community. I then started using aluminum cans as well because the steel cans, they quit making them. I started building domes out of cans. Shows you what you can do with cans. I started then, that led me to tires. And then I started filling the tires with dirt and creating thermal mass that would have a whole nother thermal effect on the building. I started incorporating wind and sun for electricity into the structure and the design. I started harvesting rainbows. Then I wanted to put all this together in a home. And this is the first one that we actually called an earthship. This is a series of U shapes that have a greenhouse leaning up against them. That became the earthship. We wrote books about it and started doing them all over the country and world. There's the 3 books that we wrote. We've written many more since then. Those are the 3 basic books. And this building you see on the screen now is in Illinois. I've never seen it. They built it from the books. That's what we're after. Putting housing into the hands of the people, not having you have to have a contractor build it for you. We've played with many communities. This one's way up in the mountains. Banana trees growing at 10,000 feet elevation. Then the most recent community that is the most successful is called the Greater World. And it's here's a map of it. And we've set it up so that the lots in the community are circular. Then there's half of the land is commonly owned by the people, but can't be used. Nothing can happen on it. And it allows the snakes and the lizards and the sage and the elk and everybody to continue life as they were before we came. We're just moving in with them, not replacing them. And here's how this works. This is the community. There's a herd of elk walking through the community less than a year ago. They live here. We live with them. And we are fencing ourselves, caging ourselves, if you will, off from these people, from these creatures. So here are some of the buildings in the community. They are addressing on a continually improving scale. They are addressing the 6 issues. And it shows that you're not going to be living in a teepee. These are beautiful buildings to live in. We have developed over the years what we call the global model earthship. And we are calling it housing as an independent global living vessel, the global model earthship. Now we've evolved that now in the last 2 years, to what we call the unity model, which I showed a picture of it already. I'll show more, but the global model has even evolved. But this model, the reason we called it the global model is because you can build it anywhere. It works anywhere. Montana, Alberta, Canada, New Mexico. And so that's kind of what we were aiming at, is getting a product that we could distribute to the people that would embody these 6 points and free us from the vulnerability of the grid, the systems, the corporations, the government, all of the things that are trying to take care of people, but not really doing that good of a job, because in the United States last winter, 2 winters ago, I mean, not this last one, but the one before, there were plenty of wealthy people waiting in line for food. And there were plenty of wealthy people going out into their BMW with their kids, turning on the car to keep their kids warm, because the power lines went down And there's how they heated their homes. It was pathetic. It was like a third world country. And while all of this is going on, and I'm seeing it on TV, I'm seeing water pipes bursting and water running down stairways of a $1 million home. I am walking down my hallway barefoot, harvesting tangerines and spinach. I'm eating. I'm comfortable. I've got water. I've got what I need to survive. And it's this vessel that gives it to me. So I'm saying, why not get this out there to the world? These are the 6 points again. You need water. You need to contain and treat your sewage. And through that, you need to produce food. You need to deal with your garbage. You need to deal with thermal dynamics and solar thermal dynamics to provide comfort without fossil fuel. And you need electricity. We do this in a custom way. This is a building that's very flamboyant that does this. The standard way, the global model airship. And excuse me, an economic way, like the smart car of airships, compact. You need to address all of these if you're going to capture the needs of all the people. The interiors, they don't look like living in a teepee. Now, we have come in, like I said, in the last couple of years to a newer model than the global model. It is called the unity. It's the unity between people and planet. It is a vessel that encounters the phenomena of the planet to provide sustenance for its inhabitants. So we'll look at these 6 points briefly. You're building with natural and recycled materials. To me, tires are natural. They grow on this planet. You pound them full of earth, you pack them out with earth, and you plaster them with earth. And there is a tire building. That's what a tire building looks like. In other words, tires, which we heretofore call garbage, they turn out to be one of the best building materials I've ever seen. Bottles, we produce them like crazy. We throw them away. We cut them in half, join them together, and make bricks. And we use the bricks for stained glass walls. They're beautiful. These are bottle bricks. These are things that we throw away normally. Plastic bottles too. Cans, same story. We use them as bricks. Bottles and cans as bricks. Here's a bridge made of cans. Jamaica, that's where they have tons of bottles and cans. We make a villa there with the garbage. It's a little castle. We go to dumps where they throw away washing machines and refrigerators. We harvest the panels out of them, and we use those panels to make roofs. Anything that our society throws away in large quantities, we can make a use for it, because that's what trees do. Trees make a use. The earth makes a use for the leaves of the trees. I even use these things for body work on my Mercedes. The roof of our classroom, school bus. This is school bus material, and all different automobiles. Here it is in Puerto Rico. We made a gazebo in the middle of a villa there out of automobile doors and roofs. It's a wealth of materials out there that we throw away. And all of these materials are actually, I was having a discussion about this. These materials are well made. If you go to Home Depot or one of your building supply stores, the materials that you buy there aren't even as good as these materials. They're made as well as tires or bottles or these door panels of cars. The materials are closer to garbage than these are. Comfortable shelter. Houses usually sit on the planet, and you pump nuclear power to them and sewage out, and they're nothing unless you're bringing in and out utilities. The Earthship snuggles into the earth, captures the sun, insulates away from the frost line, connects to the thermal mass of the earth. The Earthship encounters the phenomena of the planet. That's a basic diagram of us capturing the sun and insulating it. There it is in a real building. There's the insulation. See the magenta color? That's what we wrap the mass of the building with. There it is. That's the insulation wrapping the mass of the building. This is a Unity Earthship being built. This building will be 70 degrees year round without fossil fuel. Can you imagine? Can you imagine not using any fossil fuel for heating or cooling of buildings? That's not a pie in the sky idea. That is possible right now. We're doing it right now. Here's how it works in a nutshell. Low winter sun comes in to the room. The room heat goes to the cooler place. So the room is warmer than the walls. So heat goes to the cooler place. It goes into the walls. We wrap the walls with the magenta insulation, and then the heat can't get out. So the warm room loses its heat to the walls. Then at night in the cold winter, the heat of the room is lost through the two different glass spaces. The room air becomes cooler than the wall, and the wall loses its heat to the room. And this goes on all night long. It's like a heater. This is 8th grade physics. Summertime, sun's higher in the sky, and it gets the greenhouse very hot. We vent that with a gravity operated skylight. It creates a suction because you can't have a vacuum. It creates a suction. We suck it through the transoms over the doors and through tubes going through the burial of the building. The hot outside air goes through the tubes. Heat goes to the cooler place. So the hot air heat is lost to the earth. So cool air ends up coming out and going through the house. It's a convection cooling system. No fossil fuel, no fans. Here's a graph of one of these buildings. Cold, sub-zero temperatures in the winter, super hot summer. Building temperature inside is almost a straight line. No fossil fuel. Now, in the tropical zone of the planet, we have to have something that's a little bit different. It's the same concept, but it doesn't need heat. It needs to be cool. So this is our tropical design. It's massive. It's a cement dome, and it has earth covering it. It has earth in tires. It has another course of tires out here with a row of bottles laid in cement. And this is bagged up plastic garbage. No organic matter, just bagged up plastic garbage used as insulation. And then cardboard insulation for the roof, and one layer of rigid manufactured insulation, and then a cement roof. This is an earthquake proof, typhoon proof, and then it's convection cooled with a cooling tower and a tubes going through the earth. This is the tropical version of this concept. Here it is in Haiti. We're building a school in Haiti. This is the same building right here. And in Puerto Rico, a little villa done the same way. Now, everybody knows solar and wind electricity, windmills, solar panels. That's done all over the world. Here's one of our versions of a vertical axis windmill that we're working on. We're trying to incorporate wind and sun into every building. This is a compound. This is the building, the windmill in action. See, it's not just a cartoon, it's a real windmill. And so solar and wind electricity are pretty well known. Water harvesting, we're harvesting water from the roofs of the buildings, and the water runs off the roofs into cisterns. There's how it's done, goes into scuppers, and the scuppers deliver it to the cisterns. We have a water organizing module. We have in our academy, we have an academy on this, an Earthship Academy, and each one of these topics is covered with 2 or 3 or 4 lectures just about water harvesting, just about contained sewage, just about thermal solar heating and cooling. So this is a water module, we call it, water organizing module, where the water is pumped, pressurized, and filtered to go to your tap. Then once you use the water, it becomes sewage. And what we do is you take the water and you take a shower in it that comes from your cistern and your water organizing module. And that shower water is run through rubber lined planters. Those planters cause plants to produce food in your home. And then at the end of the line, we pick the water up and recircuit with a solar pump all day long. So it goes through there several times a day. Then we pick it up and flush the toilet with the same water we took a shower in yesterday. There's a whole course on how to do this in the academy. The result is in your home, just like this, in your home, there are bananas growing. In every Earthship home, bananas, tangerines, all kinds of food growing. The outdoor part of it, the black water, after you flush the toilet, goes to basically a septic tank, an anaerobic processor, and then it goes to rubber lined cells outside for landscaping. So you're using the same water 4 times. You're taking a shower, you're growing food in your home, you're flushing your toilet, and you're doing landscaping, all with the same water. And here's an example of the outdoor situation. Here it was several years ago. Here it is now. It's a jungle from your toilet, basically. And it's contained. It doesn't leach into the land. It only is there for this foliage. And it's attracting creatures that wouldn't normally live in the high desert. Food production. All of these foods are grown in Earthships. Like I say, when people were waiting in line for a sack of food in Dallas, Texas, I was walking down my hallway bare feet, harvesting spinach, tangerines, bananas, my own food. And yet, it's good food. It hasn't been, messed with in terms of chemicals and pesticides. This is food I grew myself. And I walk by it every day and watch it grow. This is the kind of food. This is all from 2 different Earthships. Broccoli, strawberries, root crops. We go so much we have to freeze dry. We have to dry it and can it. Salads galore, constant salads, mushrooms, chocolate, melons, pineapples, artichokes, grapes, chili peppers, bananas. We've done tests to show that food from the gray and the black water is below measurable in E. coli. We are starting to get into things that this is a plant called kudzu. It overtakes forests. People hate it. It's a pest because it grows so fast and takes over forests. We grow it because it was brought to this country, United States, by the Japanese, and it's nutrients. It has nutrients and medicinal qualities, and it grows so fast. You want food that grows fast in your greenhouse so it can keep up with your appetite. And you can just graze on this. You can go by and pick leaves and eat them as well. It's not like a Caesar salad or anything, but it's food. It's going to keep you out of the food line. That's the point. I'm going to, I know you can't hear the sound here, but I want to show you this. I'll narrate it. This is in the Phoenix building.
Elijah is going to
And
fish
we are
in the tilapia pond at the Phoenix to illustrate.
we are catching a fish in the pond in the building. And this is real time. He just put the line in there and he's holding it in there for a minute. I will confess to the fact that we didn't feed the fish for a day before this, but there we go. Look how quickly you can catch a fish in your own house. And we cleaned it and gathered vegetables and grapes and other things from the greenhouse, and we had a meal. And actually maybe I can there we are, cooking the fish with all the food from the greenhouse. This is an Earthship meal from the greenhouse. This shows that an Earthship can provide you food. Of course, chickens. This is called the chicken Hilton. The chickens, like their little Earthship nests, they lay eggs. So you can provide your food. And the more vegetarian you are, the more food you can provide, the less you need to go to any store. Now, the Earthship has been used for schools now too, resident homes, now schools, soon offices. It's a concept for every building. Every building on this planet should encounter the phenomena of the planet for its sustenance. We do not need the vulnerable, destructive infrastructure. Walk away is what I say, walk away. This is a school in Malawi, I believe. There it is. Yeah, school in Malawi. It's a school in Malawi. It's a tropical area, so it doesn't have to have heating, using all the principles. This is a school in Uruguay. They do have a little bit of a winter. School in Argentina. Music school on Easter Island. This is the Phoenix Custom Earthship that demonstrates all of this. And it shows you how beautiful these buildings can be. Here's a fireplace with a waterfall in front of it. Bottles, garbage. This is garbage. There's the fish pond where we ate from. So this is the custom version of this. Everybody can't afford this. We know that. So we do the standard model, which lots of people can afford. There it is, tires, and put the roof and the front face on, and you've got a global, what we call a global model Earthship. These have been built all over the world. There's a couple of them we built in Canada, Wyoming, in the mountains, Brighton, England, New Mexico. The buildings look inside very much like conventional buildings. New Mexico, Canada, Colorado, split level versions of the global model Earthship. So it's housing as an independent global living vessel that encounters the phenomena of the planet to provide sustenance. That's the crux of it right there. People always, ask us about urban applications. Here is a 6-story tower with a split level global model Earthship on top of it in Manhattan. And this was actually a project. It hasn't gotten built yet, and I doubt if it will, but it almost has, and it almost did get built, and it did go through the council twice and get a positive reaction, because after Hurricane Sandy hit New York City, none of these buildings had power, water, or sewage. They were freezing in there. They couldn't even use a toilet. Here, you'd have everything. Now, here is another urban version on the ground, various levels. You can go as many levels as you want with this. So Earthship concept can happen on a urban level. The economy version, you have to have the economy version, the smart car, the economy car, the luxury car. So we have to do it. Here is a version of it. It can be doubled, but it's the same concept done in a very economical way. We did one down in Ushuaia, southern tip of Argentina. Another economy model done in Canada. We did one there and just gave it away. Colonies. So this is how colonies can happen. If you're going to do a city or a village like this, you'd have to spend billions of dollars and a lot of time putting in infrastructure, power, water, sewage, heating, cooling. You don't need to do that. All these are individual Earthships stacked. And each one of them has all its own power, water, and sewage. So you can do cities. You can apply this in an urban way. There's a city. There's an Earthship city. You can go out in the middle of any desert in any country and just start doing it. You do not need to harness a river or put in a nuclear power plant or develop a sewage treatment plant. The building itself encounters the phenomena of the earth to provide all of that. This is a design for Turkey. Then we've done a lot of global demonstrations all over the world. Just in various, ways we've tried to demonstrate. In Scotland, in Mexicali, Bolivia, Japan, the Indian reservations, Belgium, Honduras, and Mexico. I show you this because it shows that we have learned from doing this all over the world. Each time we go do one somewhere, maybe it's a 90% success, but we learn enough to make it better the next time. So this concept, both in tropical and four-season climates, has been tried all over the world. Spain, Czech Republic, Germany, New Zealand, Canada, New Zealand, Hawaii, Bonaire, Jamaica, Nicaragua, India after the tsunami, Guatemala, China, Haiti. We just got back from Haiti. Now, one thing I think I would like to show you here is this is a video of us doing this in Haiti, but the end is what's important because you don't have sound there. So I'm going to here, look at this. The different kinds of people that are learning this. You're getting the elderly, and you're also getting the very, very young. Everybody came out to help do this because it's not rocket science, and it's using materials that they have and tools that they can get their hands on. This was the first Haiti building, and we have been there many times since. And we are trying to make a floor plan that can be replicated into cities. Here's the same concept done in Chile. Malawi. The Philippines after the typhoon. We made them wind ships that were wind foils that would keep them from blowing away in the typhoons, and they use it as a wind shelter. Then we even got into zero cost buildings using this concept, where these materials, tires, standing dead palm trees, and bamboo, and old billboard canvases just made the building with no cost whatsoever. And there it is. Now we did this, gave it away. People that helped us do it took it to the Philippines and Vanuatu without us. And now the people of Vanuatu are beating dirt into tires and making buildings that do not blow away in hurricanes and typhoons. So this is something, part of the issue here is that it's something that everybody can do. Almost everybody can participate in this. You're gathering garbage, you're understanding these 6 principles. Our academy teaches these 6 principles in depth. And so you have, the whole concept is decentralization of housing, of buildings. You have the custom, you have the standard. And there's the standard done in a split level in Colorado. And the economy model. And we have an Earthship Academy that we have 6 or so sessions of it here each year in New Mexico. And we usually take it around the world once or twice a year. And we're looking at doing academy campuses in several parts of the world so people don't have to travel to get this information. But we are also doing an online academy that helps, but it helps to be with the crew and work with the crew. We have an app It's not really an app like a game app or anything. It's an archive. It's an archive of drawings and philosophy that back up this building. And it definitely, under thinking and under the typical types of buildings, there are sets of construction drawings there. The app costs under $10. And it's a way to get this information out there for under $10 to people. We were given an island in Indonesia for a while before politics changed it. And we were going to develop that island. This is 14 steps away from the crystal clear water. And they wanted to illustrate how you can live sustainably in a resort situation without sewage going into the sea, without a power plant. So this is our development of what we called Earthship Island. But we got into a situation where they wanted to put people in jail for 40 years for not having the right permit, the right visa. And so if there anybody that can threaten that, we really don't want to be there, no matter how beautiful it is. But there is Earthship Island. We did work there with 100 people and built these two buildings. We tried it in Colombia, up in the hills of Colombia. And it was beautiful there. The monkeys helped us. It was great. It was fantastic. However, down the beach, a half a mile, somebody got killed and raped. So a little crazy there. So this is furniture made of automobile tires. So we went to Puerto Rico after the hurricane and built a villa there. And there's the Puerto Rican villa. And this is an Earthship that you may have heard they've had tornadoes in Kentucky. This is a tornado-proof version of the Earthship. This is the global model here in New Mexico. And the custom. And the academy. Here's what we did in Japan. And these are just, some of the countries. So it is doable all over the world, which means we have acquired permits in places where we needed them. It's not prohibited. It's just harder to get a permit. But in many cases, it's getting easier because people are, authorities are getting more and more desperate. So this is this is our classroom for our academy here in New Mexico. And here is our current model. We call it the Unity. It is the current best version of this. We call it the Formula One of Earthships. And here's our new blog, World Ecologies. And that would be good for now. I think we're ready for questions.
I don't know if there is any question. Oh, I don't know if you see this, Michael, but in the chat, someone says, how have y'all worked with indigenous communities such as Native
Do
American?
you have any
reservations,
questions?
First Nations. Oh, do you hear me? Do you hear me, Michael? Hello, Michael? Not in this one, in this one. No, don't mute that one. Hello,
Hey,
Michael?
Mr. Reynolds, you have a question in the chat. First, I can read it out loud to you. It's from Eve and says, how have you all worked with indigenous communities such as Native American Reservation and First Nation communities?
Did you hear us? I don't think he hears us.
Oh, he may be muted because he muted.
Oh, maybe that's the
Earlier for the
case.
videos.
Yeah, he did.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys have a way to reach him to tell him he's probably muted. I know our microphone's working fine. I don't know.
Okay, folks, we have a little bit of a technical issue.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear us?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I can hear you now.
Excellent, excellent. So you have two questions in the stack. The first one is from Eve. How have you all worked with indigenous communities such as Native American reservations and First Nation communities?
Yes, in the presentation, the one in Canada that we gave away was the Six Nations up in Canada, and we did another one in Lakota for the Lakota Sioux in, I believe, Nebraska or South Dakota. And actually, the Native Americans it's a fantastic opportunity because they have land, even though it's the crappiest land that they could give them because they took all their other land. They have land, they're sovereign. So they don't need to deal with our codes and rules and regulations. And now, due to gambling and casinos, they've got money. So they got nothing stopping them from leading the world into sustainability. And I've got high hopes for that. I think that is one of the avenues that can be taken because, a lot of places still, they regulate to the point of inhibiting evolution. And I'm seeing that, and we're plugging through it slowly. We're like, the regulatory system is like having, a 100-pound bag of cement on our shoulders as we try to do this. If we could get rid of that, boom, this could go. I had an engineer go through one of these buildings, a really well-known engineer. He went through it. He didn't say a word till the end of the walkthrough. And at the end, he said, what the world needs is 1 billion of these immediately. So it is here. My point now, after seeing last 2 winters ago, the COVID winter, is that this is available. You do not have to go into your car and turn the heat on because the system went down. This is available now for all people. They're blowing apart the Ukraine. Are they going to build back? When they build back, they could build back in a way that doesn't need oil or infrastructure. When the tornadoes are blowing apart the buildings, $1 million homes in Kentucky, are they going to build back with frame and let it blow apart in next year's tornadoes? Or are they going to build back with something that doesn't need the grid? This is what we need to be instilling in the minds of people at this point.
You have another question in the chat. I can read it out loud for you. This is from Amy. It says, my cousin recently purchased property in central Missouri and put out tiny houses. But I purchased a piece of property in Illinois and put it on Persian. Does a team come in and complete the construction? Or does the client complete the online course to build their own? I like how it is priced for all economic groups.
Well, we go all over the world building, but we cannot keep up with the need. We'll go to any state and so on, but it needs to happen faster than that. What we're trying to do is get people to come to our academy and then have maybe 2 or 3 people in every state and 3 or 4 people in every country to understand how to do this and to guide that state in how to do it, or that country in how to do it. And we kind of have this. We got people in South America. We've got people in New Zealand. We've got people in Europe. We've got people in Japan. We've got people in Canada. We have moved in this direction. And so but the source of it is here in New Mexico, and it branches out from the academy. The academy is how to begin.
So I have one more from Renee. It says, what are the topographic requirements in low-lying flood-prone areas? For example, a natural swamplands like New Orleans.
Well, they talked to us after Katrina, I believe, about helping to rebuild some earthships down there in the flood zone. And my answer to that was, don't build there. Don't build in a zone that if a levee breaks, you're going to be flooded, unless you're going to build a submarine. I mean, that's just all there is to it. Picking the site, there's plenty of land that is not in a flood zone. And that's the way to look at it. There's no sense in us racking our brains trying to figure out a way to build an earthship that wouldn't get under 20 feet of water if the levee broke. We could put a levee around the earthship. So there are things that are not necessary to rack your brain on, and that is one of them. We try to build on sloped land so that there's good runoff. We knit the building into the earth. We orient it toward the sun for the power and the cooling and heating. And there are things we do, but there's if you wanted a building in the Florida Everglades, for instance, well, it would have to be a concrete structure on stilts and then build an earthship on top of that. But is it really necessary to build in the Everglades? Well, some people do. But as an average situation, people can't afford to go to those extremes. So they pick land that is easier to build on.
So first off, just a hello to Professor Newman's class. We have a message in the chat that some students from CPS are following us. Hello, welcome. And then I have a question, if you have one.
Yeah, I had one. I know you mentioned the newest Unity plan. I was wondering if you could just maybe highlight what are some of the changes and improvements you've made to some of the earlier versions of that building into the newest one?
Well, that's a good question, because 2 winters ago, what I call the COVID winter, when people were waiting in line for groceries and people were going out to their cars and turning the car with the heater on to keep their kids warm in this developed United States of America, I considered that pathetic and worse than third world situation. I mean, it was appalling to see that. And so the result of that caused us to really see that what we have here is something that will take care of us. And we're taking that now and trying to make it available in every way we can. And so when in the intensity of that situation, I'm 76 years old. During that time, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, which I have sort of gotten a handle on, let's say, without chemo and without surgery. And it's, miraculously, it seems to be working. And so I didn't, and then when I saw what was going on with the regular population, with waiting in line for food and heat and everything, I said, I don't care what anybody thinks. What is the best thing from all of my years of doing this? What is the best thing that I can do? Not worrying about engineers and what they think, not worrying about what people want, which is what got us into a lot of the different designs that we've gotten into, trying to satisfy people and engineers to make it more palatable. I said, to hell with making it more palatable. What is the best vessel machine that I can produce on this planet to take care of people? And I came up with the U shape with logs laying across that is very much like the building that we presented 25 years ago in Earthship Volume 1. So I didn't go back full circle on purpose, but I went back to that. And here's one of the reasons. If you learn to build one U shape, then you can build 6 more and you have a house. So every room is a module that does the heating and the cooling and the techniques and the details and everything. You learn how to build one of those, and then you can build as many as you want and have as big a home as you want. The modular approach was a key factor in coming to the Unity. And then the Unity, then we took from it, we took from all of the things we've done in the past and just improved them. We have learned so much about thermal mass now, and so much about insulated on the outside of thermal mass. And what we call it now is we're building a thermos bottle that you can live in. You know, you take a thermos bottle and you put your hot soup in it in the morning. Hell, at the end of the day, your soup is still hot. Why not build housing that way? We have the technology. So the Unity was really just an effort to do the best that we can from what we've learned in the last 55 years. And it does remarkably look like the very building that we started out with in the beginning. And that building was based on the same premise of what can we possibly do to do a better job? And we didn't care then. But then over the last 50 years, we've learned to care and then learn to not care again. Because caring what people and engineers think is simply going to put you right back into the existing conventional dogma situation that we're in. You have to get out of that. You have to get your thinking out of that. And the COVID scare and the COVID winter and my situation got me free so I could think clearly about what is the best thing I can do for a vessel to address the 6 points, to encounter the phenomena of the planet, to provide for people, to provide sustenance for people so that they do not depend on a grid, so they can produce lots of, if not all of their own food. So it gives people, it empowers people to simply encounter the unarguable aspects of this planet for sustenance. And it has blown our minds all over again that it works so well that, you know, like during the COVID winter, I was walking down my hallway barefoot, harvesting tangerines and spinach, and I was comfortable. I want that for everybody.
Thank you. I also have a question. Something you said during the lecture that stuck with me. You said tires are natural; they grow on this planet, and I like that that view of the environment because I think it gives us an advantage to address environmental issues. Usually, we think of the environment as somewhere where human beings are not embedded in, but as you said, we have not only we not only belong to the environment, but we have modified it to the extent that now our byproducts are environmental products. So I was wondering if you could give us a glimpse of what you think the environment is, or how do you think about the environment when you say things like car tires are natural to you?
Well, here's the way. I have all kinds of little tricks that I play on myself so that it can see. And one of them is I pretend that I just got here from another planet. And if I just got here from another planet, I don't know how the history of tires. I just see them everywhere. I see mountains of them. I see these things grow here. What the hell? They're made really well. Let's use them. Let's harvest them. You know what I mean? And so I look at everything that way, as if I got here from another planet. If I came here from another planet, remember in the first part of the presentation, the wires, the electric wires that I showed in one of the first slides. If I got here from another planet and I saw that, I would say these people are retarded. They need help. You know, they've got to learn something. We've got to teach them something. We've got to help them before they kill themselves with this mess. So it is a way of, if you can detach yourself, because we are so choked by dogma, by conventional thinking, by culture. You know what? Like, there's another thing that is a pet peeve of mine, is culture and tradition are beautiful. Yeah. Put it in a coffee table book and look at it in pictures, beautiful pictures. But a lot of things are done in the name of culture that are getting us in worse shape than we already are. You know, we got to maintain our culture. We got to maintain our tradition. Well, our culture and our tradition are killing us on this planet. So again, if I came here from another planet, I'd say, yeah, this is a beautiful culture. Let's put it in a book and present it and save it for posterity. But you can't live that way anymore. I was driving through the town of Taos, historic adobe buildings, beautiful portals, and driving through it just a few weeks ago in the winter. And I'm thinking how much horrible amount of propane that it is taking to heat all of these buildings, because all it's winter and it's cold, and the only way to heat them is propane or electricity. And I'm saying this is a land where the sun shines 310 days a year. Why are we doing this? Well, it's culture. It's beautiful. It's the old adobe way. And I'm saying it is no longer sensible to do that. And so my way is pretend I just got here from another planet, and I get answers. They may not be the best answers, but if you stay here engulfed in this and blinded by it and buried in it, you don't even get to see the possibility of an answer. So you got to get outside of it. You got to become an alien.
I have one quick follow-up on that. So another interesting thing to me in what you do is your relationship with technology. Because on the one hand, your Earthships are technologically very simple. And on the other hand, the advantages of electricity, for instance, are made possible by solar panels. Windmills are a relatively simple technology as well. So how do you see technology? On the one hand, it seems like you reject it, or you go back to a simpler technology whenever you speak of encounters with phenomena. On the other hand, it seems as though you take advantage of technology that's more on the edge of the 21st century.
Well, it's like money. Technology is like money. I use money. You know, I don't hoard up billions of dollars in a bank or a trust fund or stocks or whatever, but I use money on a daily basis, and it puts food in my mouth and, you know, buys me a new shirt or whatever. I use money, but it's not God for me. And it's the same way with technology. I use technology, but it's not God for me. The more important thing than money, the more important thing than technology are the unarguable things. You can argue with money and various things about money. You can argue with technology, but you can't argue with the sun. The sun shines on Russians, Ukrainians, Jewish people, Native Americans, lizards, snakes, dogs. The sun just shines. It is not subject to all these human things that mess up everything else. So I call it unarguable. I call it, if you're looking, there's all kinds of philosophy and religion and politics. None of that is the truth. You can always break it down, and somebody's lying, somebody's pulling the wool over your eyes, somebody's trying to sell you something to make money, whatever, or get power or whatever. But you can't argue with the sun. You'd be a fool to argue with the sun. You argue with the sun, the sun is perfectly honest. It'll say to you, you go out naked in the Sahara Desert for 5 days and I will kill you. Or you dig a snow cave up in Canada facing south and I will save you. It's up to how you relate to the sun. So it's how you relate to money. It's how you relate to technology. Technology is a phenomena of this planet. Humans are a phenomena of this planet. So I take technology. I have no rules. I'll take technology for what it's worth when it helps me. I recognize constantly that technology is vulnerable to the things that go on with humans on this planet. So break down the Earthship, for instance. The heating and the cooling of the Earthship. Where's the technology there? There's nothing. There's just biology and physics. 8th grade biology and physics heats and cools the Earthship. There's your life right there. That shows you how much I care about technology. I mean, I am not using technology in the heating and cooling of the Earthship. But yes, I am using insulation panels, rigid insulation panels that are made with technology, but I could just as well use cardboard bales or other things to achieve it. But I'm using a minimal of technology because I know it's vulnerable. But then I'm using full technology for electricity. But then how much do I really need electricity? Well, if it gets really bad, the building is lit by the sun, it's heated. I'm not going to die without electricity. Water, we've got our water system set up so it gravity feeds from the roof to the cistern. And if you take the course, the cistern gravity feeds to the house. And you can gravity feed, you can get water without technology. So what I'm saying is I recognize and use money. And I recognize and use technology. But I have my doubts as to how long money is going to be viable, how long technology is going to be viable. While it's here, though, if it gets me across the abyss, I'll take it.
Hi, thank you. Trident College has different areas of study for students who might be entering a career like healthcare or culinary arts or different technologies. How can people that might be like non-architecture students or students who might not be able to sign up for a full course at the Earthship Academy, how can they still be involved with the Earthship concept or the Earthship culture? For example, like in culinary arts, like maybe working with people to like create amazing meals out of things that they grow in an Earthship, or for marketing, like promoting other Earthships within a region.
Well, in culinary arts, I mean, that would be a fantastic little project, really, because I have recently, in the last couple of years, become a vegetarian, vegan, I don't eat animals or animal products, dairy or anything. I do, but I try not to, let's be honest. But I minimize dairy, I minimize animal products. And see, before I got diagnosed with cancer and decided to do that to try and heal myself, or at least keep myself alive, that's what I'm doing, is keeping myself alive. You don't ever heal yourself from cancer. But I used to say that, the Earthship greenhouse, you can grow, 30% of your food auxiliate your food from inside your earthship. Well, now that I'm a vegan and vegetarian, I can grow, I can live, I can stay alive completely from my home, from the foods that I can grow in my home, because they're the ones that keep me alive. And actually, you get into the whole food thing, it's incredibly, ridiculously wrapped up into, the food industry makes us sick and keeps us sick so that the pharmaceutical industry can keep treating the symptoms, but not heal us, just treat the symptoms of us being sick so that they can continue to make money. So it's a big vicious circle. The food industry keeps us sick. The pharmaceutical industry keeps treating us, and nobody ever gets healed, and the planet is suffering. And so there's so much there to take the culinary arts and show how you can have fantastic meals in an earthship. Because see, in what I showed you in the presentation, there is not a plant that I can think of that you can't grow in an earthship. So therefore, taking plants and showing people how they can grow them and make fantastic meals out of them, that's a whole thesis, a whole project that we have just begun to deal with, because I just got cancer 2 years ago, or just knew it, just found out about it. And otherwise, I was looking for a way to grow a cheeseburger in the greenhouse. That's how seriously I was addicted. I was the kind of person that ate bacon with a side of bacon. So the various aspects of the earthship, all of those 6 points, can be looked into on an individual basis without coming here and taking the whole earthship course. There is an online academy that has a lot of the lectures in it, but it being here and being in them makes a whole lot of difference. So I would say it's 8th grade physics and biology, any part of which any course curriculum could go into and benefit the person and the earthship concept at the same time.
So I have one more.
Actually,
Oh, you do?
like a quick one. Quick. I know, has Earthships gone to any areas that are maybe like post-conflict, or areas where there's like refugee resettlements? Or like things where maybe people are being housed in like tents, or places that are not sustainable or are vulnerable to environmental conditions? For then kind of creating, instead of like the tents, like Earthship, using the economy model maybe, or Earthships within community.
Oh yeah, we've gone to many places like that. We went to Haiti, for instance, after the first earthquake from recent history. For instance, we one of the first things we did is build one of the systems that contains the sewage, because they had nothing but compost toilets there that were running over. And then we built a very simple building, a round building that was made from tires from Port-au-Prince and plastic bottles from Port-au-Prince and glass bottles from Port-au-Prince. And so we have been there. We've been to these kind of places enough times to have learned what we need to learn. In other words, we went to the Andaman Islands after the tsunami and did the same thing. But it's always trying to get a ultra simple version. The zero cost building that I presented here in the presentation, that's closer to what you're talking about. That is a building that you can just gather the materials from around whatever country you're in and that are free, and put something together that is, for us, it's hard to get away from the 2-bedroom, 2-bath home with kitchen, living, dining. That's not what they do. They need there. That's not what they even want. Like in the Philippines, they were living in blue tarps over 4 poles with a grill, and in the same way in Vanuatu. So what we have to get out there for those people is these zero cost versions that won't blow away in a tsunami or a hurricane. And we have been there enough times to know that some of these things will work. I mean, one of the most recent examples is, and I believe it was just on NBC, is the villa that we built in Puerto Rico. It actually, held up from hurricanes since then, and was the only place where you could get water and electricity. And they weren't vulnerable to the next hurricanes that came. So there's unbelievable amount of work to do just following storm chasing. I said to a media outfit just a few days ago, one of the things I would love to do is go to Poland and start building, economical versions of these as fast as we can for the refugees, and teaching them to do it. And, if the land could be obtained in Poland, and because the people are cold, you start off with a very small version, a module, and then you add to it and add to it and add to it, and it becomes a home. But you have to start just like they start on landing on the moon. You have to have a landing module. You have to have a landing module to begin, to keep you comfortable while you do more. And we have learned from our travels all around the world that that's what needs to be done.
I had one that was more of a utopian visionary version of a question. So say with all the possibilities being open out there, but there is this Earthship city, and I can relatively grow enough food in my home, and I don't have to pay my bills for heating and cooling, and I don't have to pay my water bill or my taxes because I don't have to pay for infrastructure and so forth and so on. What do I do with the rest of my day? Because it seems as though currently we are more trapped in a economical environment that requires us to work in order to supply for a living. But with the Earthship, that type of system would be muted, at least in part.
So now, what can you make the question one more time? Just a simple
Yes. So
question.
the question is, what do you do with your day? Perhaps it's a more accurate question.
What do you do with your day?
If you don't have to sustain, because it seems as though you don't have to sustain your livelihood by means of your labor.
Well, rather than working for so much money, that's one thing we've learned, is that we've reduced our need for money. I mean, like I said a while ago, I use money, but I've reduced my need for it. I don't need it for electricity. I don't need it for heating and cooling. I use it for food sometimes if I go out or whatever, but I need it for transportation or clothing or whatever. But like it's reducing. I'll tell you, I have a name for it. I call it an insignificant economy. Everybody's always talking about the economy, and we got to grow the economy. And Clinton wanted to grow the economy in Haiti. They don't even know what economy is in Haiti. I am after an insignificant economy. I don't disdain economy. I don't say that we shouldn't have an economy. I just say the economy should not be God. I say that we can get strawberries and tomatoes and comfort without an economy. And so, yes, I still have plenty to do. I mean, I got spinach starts to put in, I got reinforcing to get more water to collect on the roof. You can constantly keep improving this vessel's ability to take care of you. So I have no problem in what to do. And then, yeah, sometimes I can play my guitar for sure. I think so many people are working at a job they hate to get money to buy junk for food and pay for their utility bills and so on. The quality of life changes when the economy is insignificant. The quality of life changes so that I wake up in the morning and I do whatever I want. I happen to want to grow food. Now, of course, I wreck my life really by trying to do this on a large scale, by trying to get this for everybody. Makes it so, my life is it's way more than just taking care of me. It's trying to make this available, and I'm ready to die for it. I mean, a person spends a lot of their time of their life trying to find something to live for. And once you do find it, you got to be willing to die for it. So it's a circle. You can't get away from it. So I don't have any trouble finding what to do with my time. It's just better quality of time.
All right, well, it seems like that's the end of questions in the chat and the questions here. So I'd just like to thank you for your time, sharing all this information with us. Last chance for anybody to speak up if they have a last question, but otherwise, we're going to end it here.
Okay. Thank you very much. It was fun. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.